rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Hey, really quickly, I have a new shout out. Braden McGroin, thank you ever so much for becoming a monthly supporter over on Rumble. I do appreciate it. So, hat tip to you. There you go. Okay. Let's see. So, Bam is cutting up ham. Sorry, I just had to do that. It just fit. Anyway, she's cutting up ham for some more soup. But she's listening. So, hi, Bam. You're listening. All right. Anyway, how is everybody? We're getting ready to slide into the weekend here. This is Friday. And Friday, of course, is normally the end of the week for me. But I'm on vacation for my regular job right now. So it's not the end of the week for me anymore, at least not right now. So there we go. Everybody getting ready for our next holiday, which is, of course, New Year's Eve, or New Year's, I should say. What is everybody doing, by the way? Are you guys going out and like partying and stuff like that? Mrs. Whiskey and I haven't really figured it out yet in terms of what we're going to do. But I can tell you this much. It's probably not, if it's anything like what we normally do, it's probably not going to be anything near like any kind of party or whatever. I don't know. Even my daughter doesn't really have much of an idea of what she's doing over though for New Year's Eve. So, I mean, we're just kind of bummers this year, I guess. Anyway. Looks like 3 Chevy is saying he's going to stay home and watch neighborhood fireworks. Yeah, we'll probably have a bunch of that. Yeah, Bam, staying home. All right, well, that's fine. That's fine. You bring in the new year however you'd like. That's the way things roll around here. This is episode 498. 498. Oh, my gosh. Braden McGroin, what the heck are you doing here? Oh, my goodness. There's memberships galore. Braden gifted 5 memberships or subscriptions to my show. Thank you so much. It looks like 3 Chevy, Amy, Coco, G, and Bam were the recipients of those gifts. Wow, that is just fantastic. Wow, hat tip to you, sir. Wow, that is great. Thank you. Thank you so much for all of that. I do appreciate it. Coco's going to a fundraising event. That's cool. My news is working. That's nice. Bonnie is saying she's staying home with the youngest son, who's going to be at her house. Well, that's cool. Wow, bourbon. Oh, fat paws. Bourbon smoked ham. Okay. All right, there we go. Staying home with the dogs. The dosing dogs. Ooh. Okay. That bourbon smoked ham is interesting. It's going to be, I've heard of smoked ham, but I didn't know about bourbon smoked ham. That would be an interesting recipe to try, I'm going to tell you. All right, let's go ahead and get things kicked off here. Tonight is My News. My News will be heading up and leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So please, if you are of mine, stand, remove your hat if you're wearing one like me, and place your hand over your heart and follow along with My News as she recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much for that wonderful rendition of the pledge there, My News. If you would like to get your rendition of the pledge here played on the program, all you need to do is record yourself doing the pledge in your style, and then take that file, whether it's an audio file or video file or whatever it is, attach it to an email, send it off to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get you into the rotation. All right, tonight's top of the line sponsor is TGRN. That is True Grit Roots Network. We are found at tgrn.net. That is our home on the web. You can find us there and listen directly through your browser. Or if you'd like, there are also links to download our app for both iOS and Android. You can also, as well, listen and find us in the catalog of digital radio stations in one of the following three applications, whether it's iHeart, Odyssey, AUDACY, or the Live 365 app. Any one of those three, you can find us in their catalog of digital radio stations. Also, too, I got to tell you about a great program. Now, don't forget, January, I don't have a date yet. I got to check with Oogie and find out for sure when this is actually kicked off, if we even have an actual date yet. But don't forget, in January, sometime in January of 2025, that's just a few days away, the programming will be shifting from all blues over to a blues rock mix, and that will be headlined by a signature blues rock icon. Still hasn't been announced yet. But until that happens, and by the way, some of the shows will still be there. I mean, they're not going away. But one of the shows that I'm pretty sure is going to be hanging on is Mighty Mouth Blues. Mighty Mouth Blues is exclusively a TGRN, hosted and produced by multi-award winner Jonathan Oogie Richards and his daughter Amber Burhill. Mighty Mouth Blues brings the hottest mix of new blues and old school hits, along with interviews of artists and blues news makers shaping the today's blues from all parts of the world. Mighty Mouth Blues airs Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central Time, with an encore presentation tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central Time. Now, I'm not going to feel slighted in the least if you decide to slide over and listen to Mighty Mouth Blues 8 p.m. Central Time, because that actually is 6 p.m. Pacific Time, you know. I'll forgive you for one try. If you want to head on over to Mighty Mouth Blues, head on over to tgrn.net and listen to Mighty Mouth Blues. If you want to get away from me for, a night, I get it. It's okay. You can head on over there and take a listen to the encore presentation on Saturday, 8 p.m. Central Time. TGRN, that's True Grit Roots Network with TGRN Blues, based out of Austin, Texas. All right. Well, I got to admit, there's not a whole heck of a lot running around in the news today. Although I do have to tell you that, it was pretty active again on the socials with regards to that whole Section 3 of the 14th Amendment thing. There's a couple of accounts in particular that are still just going on and on and on about how, oh my gosh, Trump is going to get, Congress needs to get off their asses and do something about Trump. Yeah, no. Anyway. I had this one particular account on X that was just persistent in basically saying that the Colorado case, stated clearly and unequivocally that there was an insurrection. And there wasn't even a freaking trial. All it was an assumption that was put together by the Colorado Supreme Court in saying that. And what was even worse was that SCOTUS basically said in their decision, this isn't for a individual state to decide. Congress has to decide it in accordance with Section 5 of the 14th Amendment. And I think we've already covered a lot of that. So I'm not even going to go any farther than that. But I can tell you that was a good there was a good portion of my day between yesterday and today. Basically telling these people, yeah, you guys are morons. But that being said, the White House apparently has decided that now that Hunter Biden is pardoned and that Joe is leaving, that they can finally release pictures and photos and things like that, that essentially prove what we all have been saying this entire time. You're asking me what? Okay, pretty simply. You remember that time that Hunter or Joe was accused? There were allegations that Hunter Biden's business dealings were basically a influence peddling scheme, and that Joe Biden was the influence that they were peddling. And that Joe Biden said, no, I've never been a part of anything of Hunter Biden's business dealings. I've never met any of the Hunter Biden's associates. I've never been in meetings with his business associates. I've never met his business associates. Yeah, remember all that? Remember that entire time that Joe Biden was discussing all that and saying, no, I don't know anything about it. They're completely separate. I don't know anything, he said. Yeah, wrongly. Oh my gosh, I got to get rid of a couple of things here. Okay, that's going to take too long. Let me get head on over down here. Remember all that? Yeah, I remember all that. Well, here you go. The feds are finally releasing photos showing then VP Biden meeting with son Hunter's China business partners. Yeah. Yep. Days. They're releasing it, of course, days before he leaves office. This is in the New York Post, folks. The National Archives has finally released photos showing then Vice President Biden meeting with two of first son Hunter Biden's Chinese government-linked business partners. Again. Once again. Conspiracy theory proven once again. Here we go. Where the president lied about not interacting with his family's foreign business partners. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The cache of photos released long after their potential political salience and days before Biden retires on January 20th also show Chinese President Xi Jinping grinning as then Vice President Biden introduced his son during the same December 2013 trip to Beijing. Yeah. The Xi Hunter Biden encounter, which had not previously garnered much attention, appears to have been at a meal that Hunter described in an email to his former associate Devon Archer as pretty amazing, because his dad and China's powerful authoritarian leader were supposed to spend 2 hours together, but it stretched into 7. I think they are in love, he quoted in his email. Xi was about 2 months into his ambitious Belt and Road foreign influence investment campaign, and a Chinese state-backed company aligned with that vision, oh my gosh, BHR Partners, which was in the process of being co-launched by Hunter. Yeah. There you go. The newly released photos, which would have been politically explosive if they were released during the now closed House impeachment inquiry into alleged Biden family corruption, show the elder Biden shaking hands with incoming BHR Partners CEO Jonathan Lee and greeting the company's managing director Ming Zhu. Yeah. How much more are we going to get between now and January 20th, proving everything that we know about the Bidens? that everything on that laptop was actually correct, true and correct. Well, we already know that. I mean, that's been proven multiple times, but this is just, anyway. Joe Biden apparently later wrote college recommendation letters for both of Lee's children, and according to Devin Archer, greeted Lee during a subsequent speakerphone conversation when Hunter returned to Beijing. BHR Partners was officially registered as a company 12 days after Air Force Two landed in Beijing with the Biden family for that trip, according to the Wall Street Journal's report. The firm played an important role in foreign acquisitions for China, including the 2016 purchase of a Congolese cobalt mine from U.S. and Canadian companies. By the way, cobalt is used for electric car batteries. Yeah. Now, here we are. Once again, there's some more pictures. If you're on the audio portion of the program, I highly recommend you head on over to rumble.com, find this video, and of course, take a look. This is like the first, I'm not even in the first 15 minutes of the show, and you can pick it all out. Yeah. Yep. So the 54-year-old first son, now 54-year-old first son, held a 10% stake in BHR through at least part of his dad's presidency, and says he relinquished control of his, quote, sugar brother, Kevin Morris, who had loaned Hunter a sum believed to top $6.5 million since meeting him at a 2019 Biden campaign fundraiser. These photos were released to the American First Legal Foundation in response to a transparency lawsuit. So, yeah. Okay, so we're going to know, we're now going to have coming out of the Biden White House and everything's going to come spilling out. Yeah. This guy should never have been president and should have, sent, oh, here, hey, there is Jonathan Lee, who was the BHR Partners CEO. I thought Joe Biden had nothing to do with Hunter Biden's business associates. Take a look. This photo is right here. There's Joe, there's Hunter, and there's Jonathan Lee. Yeah. Yep. So, this now, granted, this latest release does not document any of Joe Biden's alleged interactions with his son and brother, James Biden's associates from a second major Chinese state-linked company. But he apparently attended an early 2017 lunch at the Washington's Four Seasons Hotel with CEFC China Energy's chairman Yi Jianming shortly before an initial $3 million flowed to a consortium of Biden family associates. Former Biden family associate Rob Walker testified in Congress. Yeah. So there you go. I mean, again, this guy is corrupt. He's the most corrupt person ever. So, yeah. He's going to go down, I think, in history as being the most corrupt president in history. Yeah. So, and this is all outlined. Oh, here we go. Here's the entire executive team of BHR Partners with, who's that? Oh, yeah, that's Joe and Hunter Biden. Yep. Folks, if you believe that this family is an upstanding family and everything else, yeah, no, they're not. They're not. So, just to go on about that, Biden told a New York Post reporter in March, about 5 months before the Democrats forced him to relinquish the party's presidential nomination in July. He said, quote, "I did not interact with their partners." Yeah, really? Sure. He also, the Post would follow up that question with, "You didn't have a dinner or lunch or coffee?" "No," the president said. Yeah. last December, Biden similarly denied interacting with his son and brother's partners, saying, I did not. And it's just a bunch of lies. They're lies. I did not. They're lies. When asked about an Associated Press poll finding that almost 70% of Americans, including 40% of Democrats, believed he acted either illegally or unethically in regards to his family's business interests. Yeah. Yep. Oh, believe me, this article continues on and keeps pointing out all of the things once again about Hunter Biden. Yeah. Yep. Guys, this guy, I am so glad he is out. I'm so glad he's out. All right. Well, bringing things to more relevant stories of today, because let's be honest, that is so old, it doesn't even really matter. But here also in the New York Post, did you know that New York is about ready? They are set. Seriously. New York is set right now based on a New York law that Governor Hochul, just signed into law. They're about ready to turn the tail of the dodo. Yes, they are. If you think New York is like the happening place to be, not after this law, provided, of course, that it actually goes into effect. What is it? What is that law, you ask? Well, it's pretty simple. Hochul signs a New York law that's going to charge $75 billion to oil, gas, and coal companies for climate change. Really? 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 They're going to charge them for climate change. Yeah, $75 billion. Do you think those oil, gas, and coal companies are going to stay there? No, they're going to pull out. They're going to pull all their jobs with them. Yeah, they're going to pull out all their jobs with them. Okay? Now, the key thing here, though, that again, I have told you on this program, I have told you multiple times, and 3 Chevy picked it up right away. 3 Chevy, corporations don't pay taxes, people do. Exactly. That's exactly what's going to happen here, folks. Corporations, they don't have a coffer of money. They don't have a wallet. They don't have a separate thing to, they don't have a separate pool of money that they could, no, everything that they consume as a cost, whether it's taxes, whether it's fees, whether it's raw materials, whether it's your labor, all of that gets tied into the final price that goes out to the customer, along with any type of profit margin. Okay? This is how this works, folks. So everything, Hochul is basically going to make it almost impossible for their own people, because their own people are going to pay for the pricing for everything that they're charging to these folks. This is no different. This is no different than what government does. Government cannot make money. Government has no way of making money. Okay. And so what's happening here is everything that is going on, and oh my gosh, Braden McGroin is just like handing out gift memberships to everybody. Ooh, thank you, Braden. Holy crap. Anyway, so Governor Hochul has basically signed the death knell for New York. This is going to be interesting to watch and see. This is do not be surprised if you see California going the same way. And I'm just going to tell you, this is not going to end well for them. This is not going to end well for them, regardless of what they think. She has approved the controversial law. Okay. And critics, of course, are saying that the law itself is unworkable, likely to be challenged in court, and, of course, is only going to end up costing customers more. Well, that last part is the actual truth. Regardless of whether it's going to be challenged in court or whether it's unworkable, the fact of the matter is that this is going to pass on. This is going to pass on to the consumers. The consumers are going to pay this tax. And what's interesting, too, is Elon Musk actually put this on X. I wish I had it queued up and ready. But there's, and I'll probably play it tomorrow. I'm thinking of doing like a big Reagan kind of segment tomorrow. But he was on the Johnny Carson show, and he was talking about this very thing. I mean, people, they pick on Reagan a lot, but he actually was a very, very well-read, very high, I'm going to just say highly intelligent individual as a president. And he was very, very wise to a lot of these things. And a lot of what I've been telling you is the same types of things that he would tell you, or even Thomas Sowell or Milton Friedman would tell you. This is not difficulty here. So Ken Polansky, Polkowski, vice president of the New York State Business Council, who opposed the measure, said, "What would you have them do? Not sell fuel in New York State?" Yeah, it's exactly what's going to happen here, people. So the New York Climate Superfund is modeled after a federal law that holds polluters responsible for abandoned toxic waste sites, advocates for the bill said. Money extracted from the petro firms over a 24-year period would go toward resiliency projects such as coastal protection and flood mitigation. You mean the people who are the consumers of those products, where the money is going to be extracted, are going to pay for it. Hochul said yesterday in her bill approval message, this bill would allow the state to recoup $75 billion from major polluters. She said that the energy companies are responsible for emitting 1 billion metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions into New York's atmosphere. She says for far too long, New Yorkers have borne the costs of the climate crisis, which is impacting every part of the state. No, they're still going to bear it, you stupid wench. They're still going to bear it because they're going to be paying for it in their pricing. This is why Democrats have no freaking clue about economics. They don't understand simple concepts such as the cost of goods and services. Okay? They don't seem to understand that businesses, the same way that the federal government has, that businesses don't make money. All they do is they basically take raw materials, labor, turn it into a product that consumers consume, and all of their costs are borne by the consumer, plus whatever kind of profit margin is being put on top. These people, they don't understand this. Oh, and what's even better is that an analysis conducted for bill sponsors, State Senator Liz Krueger and Assemblyman Jeffrey Dinowitz, should be Dimowitz, but it's D-I-N-O-Witz, obtained by the Post back in August, showed foreign-owned and American companies together would pay about $3 billion a year over 2.5 decades. Yeah. Yeah, you guys are bad. Now, what's the oil giant Saudi Aramco, I should say, of Saudi Arabia, could be slapped with the largest annual assessment of any company, $640 million a year, for emitting 31,269 million tons of greenhouse gases from, get this, 2000 to 2020. So they're going backwards in all of this. Aramco, formerly known as the Saudi Arabian Oil Company, is owned by the Saudi royal family. Yeah, the state-owned Mexican oil firm Petróleos Mexicanos, or Pemex, emitted 9,512 tons of CO2 and could face a $193 million assessment for generating those million tons, the 9,512 million tons of greenhouse gases. Yeah. Russia's Lukoil could be assessed with a 100 million yearly fee for spewing 4,912 millions of CO2. Yeah. So there's 38 companies that were identified as carbon polluters. They include American petro giants such as Exxon and Chevron, as well as Shell and BP in the UK, Total Energies IES in France, Petrobras in Brazil, BHP in Australia, Glencore in Switzerland, Equinor in Norway, and Eni in Italy. Yeah. Yeah. Reps for the petro industry said the new law is a declaration of war against firms that provide energy and power to New York. More than 36 energy firms and business advocates sent a letter to Hochul on December 5th urging her to veto the bill. Well, she went ahead and signed it. Yeah. So let's see what's going to happen now. Yep. Oh, and I guess there's even more. There apparently is a new minimum $9 congestion toll to enter Midtown Manhattan. That's all on a part of this. Yeah, this place, I'm done. These guys are going to make this place into a ghost town. They're going to turn New York into a ghost town. Speaking of which, some of that may already be happening, okay? Some of that may already be happening because this, there's a report that came out from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics that have shown, or that shows that red states are actually better for outperforming blue states on job creation. So the top 5, Idaho, Utah, Florida, Texas, and Montana, are what's classified as Republican trifecta, meaning that they have, I think it's control of the governor, the legislature, and let me see what that actually means. Hold on. I remember that there's 2, but yeah, let's see. Yeah, it doesn't really tell me, but I'm guessing that's part of it. But unsurprisingly, if you look at the chart, and I'll kind of slow down so you guys can see it. If you look at the chart, this is the bottom of the chart. Take a look at how much blue is going in at the bottom of the chart. The very bottom were Hawaii and District of Columbia, Vermont, Maryland. Those guys are next now. Louisiana's in there, but West Virginia's in there. Illinois, Massachusetts, New York. New York is in the bottom 10. Connecticut rounds out the bottom 10. Iowa is in there. There's only 3 red states that are in the bottom 10. Yeah. And who are the top? Well, here's the top 10. Idaho, Utah, Florida, Texas, Montana, Arizona, North Carolina, South Carolina, and 4, 6, 8, yep. Nevada and Georgia round out the top 10. Now, Nevada is a lean Democrat state. Yeah. Seriously. All this shows is places with low taxes, low regulations, more business friendly are the places that are going to get these things. Now, I can tell you, Idaho being at the top of the list, I'm from a friend of mine who lives over there. Lives in Boise, in the Boise area. He can tell me, he's been telling me they are growing all over. They are growing everywhere. And just by looking at some of the housing developments and housing prices that are over there, I can tell you that's exactly what's happening. So, yeah. Yeah, these Democrat states, they're pushing people out. Well, you saw the number, and I even mentioned it on this program, the number of people that have left places like California, as an example. I mean, Ben Shapiro packed up his entire family, plus some extended family, and moved to Florida, because Florida was much more business friendly, less taxes, less cost of living. Yeah. So we'll see how long Governor Hochul and New York stay up. Now, the one thing that people don't seem to understand is that when businesses move out of New York's going to start entering into a shortfall of taxes. And yeah, like 3 Chevy points out, California actually had a U-Haul shortage of all the people that were leaving. But what a lot of people don't seem to understand is when you move those businesses out of those states, then you end up with a budget shortfall because Democrats can't find a tax that they didn't like. And what ends up happening is those businesses move out, the jobs go out, the tax revenue drops, and these Democrat-run governorships and legislatures and everything else, they can no longer reap any of the benefits from all of that loss in tax revenue. Coco de Whiskey asks, I thought Shapiro moved to Tennessee. Clarification on that. The Daily Wire as a company moved to Tennessee. Ben Shapiro himself moved to Florida. So, there you go. Anyway, yeah, this report is not, I mean, yep. This is all stuff that, and by the way, too, the report that was outlining this also demonstrated that the COVID-19 recovery, red states performed better than blue states comparatively. So, yeah. So the data is pretty conclusive that Republican-led states have better prospects for job creation. This is in the piece from the Populous Times, by the way. Such states also have fewer benefits for illegal immigrants, unlike blue states. Translation, that's illegal aliens. Which provide free accommodation, health care, and meals for undocumented individuals at the expense of the legal residents. With immigrants taking a big chunk of the new, with immigrants taking the biggest chunk of new jobs created, we talked about that a couple days ago, where the new jobs that were created all went to foreign-born workers, while U.S.-born citizens are pushed out of the labor force, according to various studies. It is not surprising why red states have better job prospects. And, of course, they continue with, nonetheless, Biden continues to brag about strong economic data, despite recent studies showing his administration might have overestimated job creation to so close to the election by as much as 3 million. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, Fat Paws. That's an awesome shirt. I seem to think that somebody has something just like it, don't you? Yeah, you can get that wonderful shirt that Fat Paws is admiring at theflagshirt.com, by the way. Short little break. There we go. All right. So, speaking of immigrants and immigration, okay. This in red state. Apparently Mexico is bracing for Trump's mass deportations. It's set to open 25 new shelters for illegals on Inauguration Day. So on January 20th, they're going to open up 25 new shelters for all of those illegals that are going to get deported by the Trump administration. That's a good call. I thought that they were going to resist all of this. I thought that they were going to stop, all of this. They weren't going to comply with all of this. Yeah, they folded like a freaking cheap chair. Anyway, here in the red state piece, Mexico is bracing itself for the mass arrival of individuals deported from the United States due to their illegal alien status, preparing over 24 new shelters, which are set to open on the day of President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration. It's amazing what you can get other countries to do to try and help solve the global humanitarian crisis, really, when the leader of the free world is taken seriously. Yeah. There you go. There you go. Okay. Reports of the new shelters, which are supposed to hold 12,000 beds, over 12,000 beds, sorry, for new arrivals into the country come via the currently serving governor of Baja California, Marina del Pilar Avila Olmeda, the 12th, and that's, by the way, Baja California is the 12th largest state in Mexico. Olmeda spoke with reporters earlier this week and explained Mexico is taking Trump at his word. Gee, isn't it awesome when that happens? When it comes to conducting mass deportations on day one of his new term. Olmeda said, according to Border Report, this is a strategic plan to accommodate exclusively people who get deported after January 20th. What we do know, throughout his campaign, he threatened to do this, and since he was already president of the United States, we believe this time he will be stricter and tougher when it comes to deportation, she added. We are working to get ready and receive our migrants. Note the use of the word our in this case. The piece says, Olmeda states unequivocally that they are only interested in housing Mexican citizens. Seems like they don't even want, any illegal criminals within their borders. She said, these shelters are being planned these shelters that are being planned are for those being repatriated who are coming from north to south, but no foreigners, only Mexicans. This must be made clear, she said, according to the report. Mexicans will be welcomed back to their country and their human rights will be respected. So I guess she probably shouldn't have let, or the Mexican government probably shouldn't have let all of those foreign-born folks coming from all over the globe through their country, right? Yeah, maybe. Anyway, well, as a big part, by the way, of that deportation effort, do you remember how I was telling you, excuse me, I had to take a drink real quick. Do you remember me telling you how the sheriffs themselves are probably going to be the saving grace when it comes to this kind of stuff? Do you remember how I was saying that city police and state police that answer to the governors, that answer to the city leaders, but yet the sheriffs, because they are actually elected by the people, answer to the people, and, by the way, are considered more constitutionally relevant and appropriate than city police and state police? You remember all of that? Well, there's this wonderful sheriff by the name of Sheriff Richard Mack, who wrote this great book right here called The County Sheriff, America's Last Hope. You can see his name right down here, Sheriff Richard Mack. This is actually a book that I unfortunately have wrongly attributed just in my memory to Sheriff Mark Lamb. This is actually Richard Mack who wrote this, and this is also who brought that case all the way up to the Supreme Court. Now, that he was joined by others, okay, but he is the initial one that started the case, and you should go and pick this up. This little book. It's a small little pamphlet. It takes probably no more than like an hour or so to read. It's very, very written, very plainly when it comes to this. And it talks about how the Constitution recognizes the sheriff and how the sheriff is the better or is the only recognized law enforcement officer by the Constitution of the United States. Things of that nature, because, of course, the sheriff, which is derived from the term shire reeve, which goes all the way back through English common law as the representative of the monarchy, in any kind of a shire, or the smaller portion of the lands of the king, they have essentially much more power than most. Well, that was reminded and kind of mentioned in this piece by the Epoch Times. Sheriffs say they can help ICE in Trump's mass deportation plan. That's right. They can. And they may likely will. It says sheriffs will likely play a key role in helping federal agents secure the border and deport illegal immigrants under President-elect Donald Trump. Trump made mass deportation of illegal aliens, I'm putting that in, a key part of his campaign to win a second term, as almost 11 million people flooded into the country illegally since 2021. Tom Homan has signaled a new era of federal, state, and local cooperation when it comes to deporting illegal aliens. I'm throwing the word aliens in the place of immigrants. Holman, the former acting head of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, indicated that he will first target those who have criminal convictions or are wanted for crimes. The nation wants a safe country, he said. We've had enough crime in this country, Holman said during a stop at the Texas border in November. Now, sheriffs in the nation's 3,100 counties could play an essential role in helping ICE to identify and detain illegal aliens. Sorry, they call them immigrants, but I'm saying aliens. Said Sam Bushman, who is CEO of an organization called the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, which is a conservative organization that opposes unconstitutional government overreach. Now, here's a key part in the piece that I want to read to you, just showing you and demonstrating to you that I am not the only one who knows this. As chief law enforcement officers in their county, elected sheriffs have more latitude than appointed police chiefs. Okay? They have authority over criminal investigations, serving warrants, managing county jails, and providing court security within the county. So Bushman foresees cooperation between willing county, state, and federal authorities to deport illegal immigrants, aliens, possibly through the creation of a new coordination agency or command center. Folks, this is key, okay? The county sheriff, again, is the top law enforcement officer within that county. Regardless of whether there is city police, state police, it doesn't matter. The sheriff runs that county. If the sheriff tells the federal, the FBI and ICE to get out of this county, because they are elected to their position, they have that higher level authority. I'm telling you, people. I'm telling you, this is the situation. Now, Bushman continued and said, I think we could create an organization that communicates with this trifecta that would be very effective. Now, Richard Mack, this guy, Richard Mack, right here, okay? He, who was a former Arizona sheriff and the original founder of the CSPOA, has been in contact with Holman directly and believes sheriffs will be an integral part of border security and deportation efforts because of their unique understanding of their jurisdictions. He says, or he asks the question, who in this country knows their counties better than the sheriff? So because of their local knowledge, sheriffs are in a unique position to help make deportation safer and easier, Mack told the Epoch Times. Regardless of politics, sheriffs must protect their constituents from crime and criminals, both tied to illegal aliens, in terms of drug and human smuggling, along with violent gang activity, he said. Policy experts have suggested that the federal government could deputize local law enforcement under its 287G program in order to aid ICE, because the agency likely doesn't have the manpower to do it alone. Now, the 287G program currently provides a framework of cooperation wherein local jails work with ICE to identify illegal immigrants, aliens, as they are booked for a crime. ICE and designated local law enforcement can then hold that inmate for up to an additional 48 hours so that ICE can take custody of said inmate. Holman, by the way, has touted this program as a safe deportation pipeline, as ICE officers can pick up deportees within the safety of a jail setting rather than having to organize an operation out in the community. Now, ICE itself has about 20,000 employees, including support personnel. ICE's enforcement and removal operations has about 6,100 deportation officers and more than 750 enforcement removal assistants who are assigned to a total of 24 field offices, according to its agency website. So here's the thing, okay, that Trump, by the way, could expand that program, that 287G program, to help with the deportations, which he's already done. He did it in his first term. And former chief of the U.S. Border Patrol, Rodney Scott, was recently nominated by Trump to serve as the incoming Customs and Border Protection Commissioner. So, yeah. Anyway, he said that the 287G program allows for the creation of a task force and the hybrid model that would enable local and state law enforcement to arrest illegal aliens. So, yeah. Frederick County Sheriff, this is in the blue state of Maryland, Frederick County Sheriff Chuck Jenkins, a longtime Republican, recalls when the task force model was operational in 2008. Here, as an example, we had deputies on the street that could work at the direction of ICE, and with ICE to take into custody people who had deportation warrants and so forth. Reinstating the task force model would help expedite the deportation of criminals in this country illegally, he said. Yeah. The Trump administration could also send representatives to local sheriff's departments to recruit them to join the program, he said. ICE can't do it alone, or certainly not enough, Jenkins said. We need to be a force multiplier for them. So there you go. So, yeah. This is going to be quite interesting and something that cannot be stopped by the governor, nor can it be stopped by any city officials or city leaders, because the sheriff has much more power than those folks, constitutionally speaking, by the way. Speaking about good old Tom Homan, here, and this one, by the way, has gotten the left just a little bit pissed. They're freaking out about this. But here in the Daily Caller, Trump's border czar says he'll reinstate family detention. Yep. So, Tom Homan said that U.S. immigration officials will resume detaining the children of illegal aliens, immigrants, with their parents in an interview with the Washington Post that was published yesterday. The Trump administration will not allow illegal aliens to remain in the country just because they have U.S.-born children. And remember what I was saying, that, you know, again, that whole natural born and the whole idea of a anchor baby, that was all going to come into question here. Yeah, this is going to be, believe me, this is going to be, it's going to end up in the court system, and it's going to eventually have to get determined, I hope, by the Supreme Court. But here, the Trump administration will not allow illegal aliens to remain in the country just because they have U.S.-born children, and will instead provide families with the choice of whether to exist together or be split up, Homan told the outlet. He told the Washington Post, quote, "You knew you were in the country illegally and chose to have a child. You put your family into that position." That's cool. And that, believe me, the left has gone nuts over this. The left has gone absolutely crazy about this. And the thing about it is that if you think about this, if I, as a family member, it doesn't matter whether I was a U.S. citizen or not, but if I go and commit a crime, some sort of a crime, and I end up getting taken into custody, they don't necessarily take into custody the family per se. They actually separate me from my kids. But realistically, in this particular case, just because of the way things are set up, okay, this person did something wrong. They should get deported directly. But hey, if the family, and in this particular case, a young kid, okay, they honestly, there is a question as to whether or not they are a U.S. citizen anyway, because none of that has ever really been decisively answered by the court system. And so this is definitely going to be an interesting scenario moving into 2025 and beyond, in terms of the idea that just because you are actually born on this soil, that you are remaining here under the 14th Amendment, ironically, because it talks about if you're born here and have no other ties or are subject to the jurisdiction thereof. That's the phrasing that I was looking for. Subject to the jurisdiction thereof, meaning that if you are an illegal alien here illegally, you shouldn't be able to just drop a baby and that baby become an automatic U.S. citizen, because that baby is technically still under the jurisdiction or subject to the jurisdiction of wherever the illegal aliens came from. And so, yeah, this is where the argument is going to come into play, and the court is going to have to take this on. They're going to have to take this on. So, Homan also told the Washington Post that he is going to resume U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement worksite raids. Okay. That is a practice that Joe Biden ended, by the way, and that the Trump administration would work to bring back the Remain in Mexico program, which harbored migrants claiming asylum in Mexico until their applications were processed. Since Biden took office in January of 2021, there have been over 8.5 million migrant encounters nationwide. Now, that's just the ones we know, with nearly 3 million inadmissible encounters taking place along the southern border in fiscal year 2024 alone. So this is going to be a major thing in 2025. I'm telling you, 2025, 2026, this is going to be a major thing, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out in the grand scheme of things. And I think there's going to be a lot of people on the left who are going to be unpleasantly surprised about the realities of our laws and the way that this is supposed to work. All right, folks, that is it for me for tonight. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It's free. And once you are signed up and signed in, find the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to be notified every time I go live. Once again, I want to give a thank you shout out to Braden McGroin. He was in the giving mood tonight, and several of you were gifted memberships, or subscriptions, I should say, to my channel. Not that I didn't ask him to do it. He did that all on his own, folks. Thank you very much, Braden. I appreciate it. I know my other Whiskey Warriors do appreciate it as well. That is fantastic. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, or sorry, let me correct that. This is Saturday, so 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.
The previous broadcast was produced and is owned by Active Eye Media LLC. All rights reserved.